Do you feel it? That restlessness that doesn't go away, as if something invisible were calling you to wake up, as if the heavens were trying to reach you, and now more intensely than ever. There is a silent calling being released at this very moment, and if you are here, hearing this message, it is not by chance. It is because that voice was destined for you, someone who was marked by God from the beginning. You who carry the letter M in your hands, you who bear the sign of the crescent moon, even without fully understanding what it meant, it is to you that the heavens are speaking now. These signs are not aesthetic, they are not coincidence. They are spiritual codes, marks of a sacred lineage, of souls sent with a mission so high that time itself awaits your awakening. And now, the moment has come. There are things moving around you, things that ordinary eyes cannot see. The world may seem the same, but something inside you has changed. An urgency has been born. A sense that the spiritual clock has started ticking, that something greater is about to happen and you are at the center of it. This message is a portal, a turning point. But it is also a warning. The window will not remain open for long. God is speaking, and his voice does not mix with the noise of the world. It whispers within your spirit, firm, clear, direct. And all he wants now is for you to listen. Because if you listen, your life will change. If you ignore it, you may have to wait for another season. You are not just anyone. You are not living an ordinary moment. You are being activated. And if you've made it this far with an open heart, comment now the number 99. This is the symbol of the prophetic time about to be fulfilled. It represents the moment before birth, the prelude to a destiny being released. And subscribe to this channel, because the coming days will be revealing. God is raising his own, and among them are those who carry the mark of the letter M and the sign of the crescent moon. They are the ones who will hear, the ones who will understand, the ones who will answer the calling. You are being revealed now, because the world needs your light. How many times have you asked yourself why you feel things so deeply? Why, even without understanding all the details, you always knew there was something different about you? That constant feeling of being out of place, as if the world were asleep, and you were the only one awake. It wasn't imagination, it was preparation. Long before your birth, there was a purpose over your life. You were designed with intention, shaped with care, spiritually set apart for something that many will never understand. And although they tried to convince you otherwise, God never forgot who you are. This moment, this message is a summons, not a soft suggestion, but a direct calling. Your whole life led you here. Every challenge, every door that closed, every silence that hurt you, all of it was part of building a being capable of carrying something sacred. And now, the moment has come in which heaven leans over earth to remind you, you are not here by chance. You have been brought to this exact point in your journey because there is something that must be revealed. Something that could not be given to just anyone, but only to those who have walked through the furnace, through abandonment, through the desert. Because it is those who develop the sensitivity to recognize the voice of God even when it comes in the form of a whisper. And that voice is speaking now. It doesn't come with noise or empty promises. It comes with clarity, with purpose, and with urgency. The question is no longer, is this for me? The question now is, what will you do with the calling that has finally arrived? Because, chosen one, you weren't just called. You were set apart, anointed, prepared. And the revelation you were seeking is being delivered before your eyes. Don't waste it. Don't treat it as something ordinary. This is not just another message, it is the beginning of the turning point in your life. Have you noticed how, suddenly, Certain things have started to make sense, as if old pieces forgotten in some part of your story are now falling into place on their own. This is not coincidence. It's alignment, and you are at the center of this movement. Everything you prayed for so long, the dreams that once seemed unreachable, the requests you thought had been ignored, they are drawing near. But not like before. Now, they don't come as distant hope. They come as a reality in gestation, ready to emerge. The manifestation that is happening in your life is not ordinary, it is spiritual. And when a spiritual manifestation is activated, the reality around you must reorganize to obey what has been released in heaven. You will feel it in the details, in the conversations that seem guided, in the encounters that cannot be explained, in the doors that open effortlessly. This is not luck. This is a response. It is the universe, under divine command, adjusting everything around you to fulfill what was prophesied about you from the beginning. But maybe you're still trying to understand. Why now? Because only now are you ready. Not before, not later. There was a time to dream, a time to endure, and now, a time to receive. You have been spiritually repositioned to the center of purpose. And what once was delay now becomes acceleration. What once felt like silence now becomes direction. What once seemed like absence now reveals that God was orchestrating everything behind the scenes, in the invisible, in what you could not see, but could feel. You are at the center of what is manifesting, and everything around you is beginning to bow to your obedience, to your faith, to your yes. It's not just about what you're going to achieve. It's about who you are becoming. Heaven has already released it, and now earth must respond. There are moments in life that seem ordinary, but spiritually, they are portals. Instants where heaven opens, releases something deep, and then closes again. Not as punishment, but because God's timing operates in cycles, and each cycle has a window, a calling, an urgency. And now, that window is before you. That's why you're feeling this restlessness. It's not anxiety, it's discernment. It's your spirit picking up on what natural eyes still can't see, the chance to enter into something that won't be available forever. Something is being offered in this moment, wisdom, revelation, direction, favor, and it must be received now. How many times in the past did you feel like you let something slip away? That you didn't notice the opportunity at the right time? That you hesitated, waited longer than you should have, ignored the signs? Well now, God is giving you another chance. But with it comes a clear instruction: don't repeat the mistake of hesitation. You are standing before an open door. But what many don't understand is that even open doors have a time limit. There is a moment when heaven releases, and there is a moment when heaven withdraws, waiting for a new season. The question is, will you enter now, or will you wait for time to pass? Do not let distractions pull you away from this listening. Do not allow opposing voices to drown out what God has already confirmed inside you. Because what is being released now is tied to a specific spiritual time, and it has already begun to count down. This is not just another inspirational message. It is a warning, a summons, a reminder that when God speaks, He speaks with purpose, but also with a time frame. And those who respond to the calling walk in His timing, not the world's. Heaven is releasing something rare and precious. Don't miss the moment, because the moment is passing. There is no pain that was wasted, no tear that fell in vain, no dark night was ignored by God. Every silence you endured, every injustice you faced quietly, every fall that no one saw was seen by Him. You may have thought that no one cared, that you were alone, that enduring in silence was a sign of weakness, but the truth is that while you were suffering, heaven was watching. And every time you chose not to give up, even without strength, something inside you was being strengthened. Something eternal, something immeasurably precious. You were forged in the fire of endurance. While others were spared, you were tested. While many followed easy paths, you were led through valleys that seemed endless. But today, God tells you, it wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The battles you faced shaped a kind of character that cannot be taught in books. They made you sensitive to the voice of God, alert to the invisible, firm in your faith even when the world around you was collapsing. And that is the raw material of the chosen ones. Not perfection, but perseverance. You were not forgotten. On the contrary, you were closely accompanied in every stage. When you prayed and it seemed no one was listening, God was collecting every word. When you thought you couldn't take it anymore, He was sustaining your steps. And when everything seemed lost, heaven was writing the most important part of your story. Now, He tells you, you passed. Not unnoticed, you passed through the process, through the pain, through the furnace, and came out the other side with something no one can take from you: spiritual authority. The authority of someone who not only survived but learned, of someone who fell but got up, of someone who was ignored but remained faithful. And that is why you are here, receiving this message. Because the moment has come when heaven not only watches you, but exalts you. For a long time, you walked between doubt and silence, seeking answers, signs, confirmations, asking God to understand what to do, where to go, with whom to remain. And many times, the answer seemed not to come. Time felt frozen, the path confusing. But now, everything is changing. The voice of God is no longer distant. It is clear. And it does not come with noise, with pressure, or with fear. It comes with peace, with that serenity that silences the inner chaos, with a certainty that needs no explanation. Because when God speaks clearly, even the impossible seems simple. You have reached the point in the journey where heaven decides to release direction. No more guessing, no more blind attempts. Now is the time of spiritual precision. God is showing you the way in the details, in the impressions, in the impulses of the Spirit that you begin to feel more frequently and more intensely. It's as if the fog is finally lifting, and what was once doubt now begins to reveal itself as purpose. You begin to know, and not because someone said so, but because something inside you aligns with the truth. This direction is not generic, it is personal. It touches your emotional life, your professional decisions, your relationships, your health, your faith. And everything that seemed stuck begins to move. Everything that was locked begins to yield. Not because you forced it, but because God unlocked it. The secret lies in the listening, in the sensitivity, in not ignoring the whispers that come when the world outside falls silent. Because it is there, in the intimate place, that God is pointing the way. And if you follow not in haste, but in faith, peace will be your companion, and confirmation will come with every step. Now, you no longer walk by trial, you walk by direction. You have gone through long seasons of lack, and not just financial, lack of support, lack of direction, lack of clarity, lack of peace. In many areas of your life, it felt like everything was stuck, as if something was always just out of reach by a thread, by a moment, by an opportunity. But now, that season ends. You are entering a new time, a time when abundance is no longer a distant promise and becomes a lived reality, and this is not limited to money. The abundance God is releasing touches every area: the soul, health, relationships, spiritual vision, the resources you need to fulfill your purpose. It is an abundance that comes with wisdom, that does not corrupt, does not confuse, does not weigh you down. an abundance that brings lightness, stability, and above all, a sense of mission. Because what God is releasing over you is not just blessing, it is responsibility. You will be entrusted with more, and not just to enjoy, but to multiply, to overflow. Because whoever was faithful in lack will now be honored in abundance. But there is something you need to understand. This abundance comes tied to obedience. It is not a reward for merit. It is a release for those who are willing to follow divine instructions with faithfulness. God's favor is not luck. It is the result of alignment. With every step of faith, new provision will appear. With every act of obedience, doors will open. What once required force will now flow with grace. Because where there was heaviness, there will now be lightness. Where there was debt, there will now be provision. Where there was discouragement, there will now be strength to go further. The time of lack is over, and the abundance that is now being born will not come in haste, but with consistency. A continuous flow, a season in which God not only supplies, He overflows. Maybe you haven't noticed, but the difficult days you faced were not random. They were tests, silent trials from heaven, situations that revealed, more than you imagined, who you truly are and who you were becoming. And now, the moment has come to hear what your soul has always longed to hear. You passed, not because you were perfect, but because you were perseverant. You could have given up, but you chose to keep going. You could have stayed silent, but you chose to pray. You could have rebelled, but you remained faithful. In silence, when no one saw, when heaven seemed closed, you stood firm, and every gesture, every tear, every sacrifice was recorded. God saw it. He saw when you said amen with a wounded heart. He saw when you gave up easy shortcuts to stay on the path of truth. He saw when you extended your hand, even when you hadn't received. He saw when you trusted, even without understanding. And now, heaven responds with one word: approved. This approval is not a title. It is a spiritual positioning. It's as if God is now placing you in a new category of authority, a new dimension of trust, a new phase of the mission. Those who pass the tests receive more than blessings. They receive commissions from heaven, greater missions, broader resources, divinely orchestrated connections. Because those who are faithful in the desert are now ready to rule in high places. And maybe you feel the weariness, the fatigue, the effects of all you endured. But today God says to you, that time is over. Now is the time of promotion, time to rise, to reap, to live what once felt so far away for so long. The test was long, but heaven has just issued the result, and over you it is written, you have been approved. For a long time, you lived in silence, did good without recognition, endured injustices no one saw, were judged, ignored, underestimated. And even so, you kept going, kept trusting, serving, believing. And it's exactly because of that the time of exaltation has come. The exaltation that comes from God is not built with fame, applause, or empty spotlights. It is born from faithfulness, from endurance, from surrender. And when God decides to exalt someone, no human force can prevent it. He doesn't just honor in secret, He honors in plain sight. Those who criticized you will see. Those who abandoned you will witness. Not because God wants to avenge you, but because He wants to show that He never left you. Because He wants everyone to know that His hand was on you even when everything seemed against you. The favor that is coming upon your life will not be discreet. It will be evident. It will be visible. It will be undeniable. Because when heaven decides to favor someone, even those who don't believe become witnesses. This favor will not come in words alone. It will come in open doors, in released provisions, in unlikely connections, in unexpected promotions. You will be placed in places you never imagined, not by human merit, but by divine grace. And the most powerful part is that this exaltation will not be fleeting. It will be sustained by purpose. Because you didn't try to rise by yourself, you waited for the hand of God to lift you up. And now, that hand is leading you to a new level. Get ready, because the favor that is coming will not be contained. It will not come just to bring you joy. It will come to establish, to mark, to declare before everyone that the time of humiliation is over and the time of honor has come. Not everything that is happening to you is visible to the eyes. There is a higher reality, silent but powerful, being activated at this very moment, a spiritual transfer. This is not about beautiful words or fleeting feelings. It is a movement from heaven, releasing upon you what has been withheld for long seasons. You are receiving something that cannot be explained, only discerned, a wisdom that does not come from books, an authority that cannot be bought, a sensitivity that transcends logic. What is being poured over your life now is real, and it is unchangeable, because everything that is given by God carries a seal. It cannot be taken, only refused. And you did not refuse. You remained. You believed. And because of that, this transfer is not just being released, it is being absorbed. It is entering your mind, your spirit, your gifts, your words, your thoughts, your decisions. From now on, you will notice a change in how you see, feel, and respond. Not because something changed around you, but because something changed inside you. This activation carries spiritual codes that will open doors that once seemed sealed. It will attract the right people, the right circumstances, precise revelations. You will be like a magnet for purpose, like a catalyst of alignments. And it is important that you understand this transfer is unique. It is not generic. It is not for everyone. It is not for later. It was designed for you, for this time, for this very moment. And if you feel in your spirit that something is moving now, it's because it is. Because there are things that cannot be taught, only transferred. Heaven is handing you keys, and with them, you will not only open new doors, you will free others who are still locked inside. You may not see everything happening yet, but something inside you already knows things are aligning, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. Spiritual order is being established, and your soul is recognizing what the world does not yet see. You are at the center of God's will. This kind of alignment is not loud. It doesn't need applause or announcements. It happens in the silence of the moments when you choose to obey, to trust, and to keep going. And because of that, heaven has already begun to release confirmations. And they will come in dreams, in unexpected words, in unplanned encounters, in doors that open gently, in phrases someone says without knowing they are answers to questions you only asked in your heart. Because when God wants to confirm something to a chosen one, He speaks in the language of the soul. This is not about superstition, it's about tuning in. When the spirit is sensitive, it perceives the move before it materializes. And what you are feeling now is real. It is not emotion. It is spiritual perception. It is the echo of the divine in resonance with your calling. And maybe you're asking, am I really on the right path? The answer will not come from outside. It will come from the peace you carry, even in the midst of uncertainty. It will come from the strength you feel, even after so many battles. It will come from the fire that still burns, even after so much time waiting. You are in alignment. You are in rhythm. and you are about to see confirmations multiply not to convince you, but to further establish your steps. Heaven is not only moving for you, it is confirming you, aligning you, and positioning you. And when the confirmation comes, fear loses its grip. Because you already know God is orchestrating every detail. There are moments in the journey when the greatest obstacle is not outside, but behind, in what was left, in what was lost, in what didn't happen. The past has a subtle way of trying to pull us back with memories, guilt, traumas, people, voices. But today, God is telling you with firmness and love, do not look back anymore. What needed to be learned has already been learned. What needed to be healed has already begun to mend. And what needed to be closed has already been closed in the spiritual realm. Now, heaven is calling you to a point of no return, because the new has already begun, and there's no more room to carry the weight of what has already passed. You are no longer that version who fell, who doubted, who felt unworthy. You are not the mistake. You are not the delay. You are not what others failed to do for you. You are what God is activating now, a reborn one, a repositioned one, a chosen one in the process of expansion. And the new that is beginning cannot be built with old structures. That's why it's necessary to turn the page, to leave behind not just situations, but mindsets, ways of thinking, ways of seeing yourself, ways of limiting yourself, because everything that heaven is about to do from this point on requires inner space, and the past takes up more space than it seems. What's coming is greater, lighter, more aligned, and above all, it is yours, not by merit, but by promise. You've already walked the road of pain. You've crossed the valley of waiting. And now, you are ascending into a new dimension of purpose. Do not allow yourself to remain trapped in emotional places God has already vacated. The memories that still hurt, He will heal. The questions that still echo, He will answer. But your part is only one. Do not go back, because heaven is no longer in the yesterday. It is in the now, and the now has just opened the way for the new. You made it this far, and that alone already reveals something great. You were called, but you also answered. And only those who recognize can answer. Only those who feel that something greater is guiding them can remain. Only those who know, even without seeing all the details, that they are being led by a voice that whispers louder than all the noise of the world. Keep going. This was not just a word of motivation. It was a divine summons, a spiritual sending, a powerful reminder that you carry marks the world doesn't understand, but heaven recognizes as signs of authority. The letter M, the crescent moon, the spiritual codes that separate you, protect you, activate you. You are no longer waiting for the right time. You have entered the right time. And all you need now is to remain sensitive, obedient, and available. The doors are open. The confirmations have already begun. The new will not come. It is already here. And if this message echoed within you, if something pulsed in the deepest part of your soul, leave a spiritual sign. Comment now the number 99. That number represents the beginning, the alignment, the full spiritual activation. It is the echo of heaven saying, "It is done." And subscribe to this channel, because if this message found you today, others will come to sustain you along the way. You no longer walk alone. You are being led, and the world will know. Chosen one, you are being revealed now, because the world needs your light.